very special edition of Ski-U-Mah Weekly, presented by the Minnesota Lottery here on the Gopher Sports Facebook page. I'm Justin Gaard from KFAN Radio, as well as the Gopher Radio Network, and we're mobile yet again. They have moved us again, but this time to a brand new building, really days old. We are in the Land O'Lakes Center for Excellence, more specifically the Nutrition Center, more specifically the test kitchen from the Nutrition Center here on the campus of the University of Minnesota. And my special guest today is John Parenti from Gopher Nutrition. John, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Before we talk about this awesome new complex and awesome new building, give us a little bit of your background, your path to the University of Minnesota.
Well, it's quite a lengthy one, so hope
we got plenty of time.
Funny story. I like to tell everyone how I got into nutrition. I think it's kind of a funny story nonetheless. So when I was in the 5th grade or 11 years old, I was always into training. And so my parents actually gave me a Gold's Gym membership for Christmas, and I tell you what, it was the best Christmas gift I ever received. But all joking aside, I was always into training, high school athlete, not like these athletes nonetheless, but an athlete nonetheless. So what I did was I really kind of focused on my nutrition going into my senior year of high school. Ditched the fried cheese mozzarella sticks and the cookies and cream, ice cream at night and whatnot, and really kind of cleaned up what I was eating and training and all that kind of stuff, and I really saw an impact into my performance my senior year of high school. And then my sports nutrition career really began at the University of Nebraska, where I volunteered and worked in their nutrition program. And then from that, I did a couple of strength conditioning internships and whatnot at other institutions. And then I pursued a professional internship at the University of Alabama, where I worked there for 3 years, and also did my master's and dietetic internship, which is essentially a nutrition residency. At the same time I was at Alabama, and then I got my first full-time job at the University of Louisville, where I worked with their football program, and then I landed here in beautiful Minnesota.
And you've been here since May of 2017. So John jumped right in at the tail end of this and got to open up this brand new building, which is terrific. But nutrition, 15, 20 years ago, it was kind of a thing in intercollegiate athletics. 30, 40 years ago, they probably never even really thought about it. But nutrition the last handful of years has really become a big part of everything with student-athlete performance. How have you seen it change, the emphasis on nutrition, since you've gotten into the profession?
Well, yeah, since I started in 2009, it's exploded.
Right.
There was only a few programs that really had full-time dietitians on staff. Most institutions had consultants that only worked X amount of hours per week and whatnot, but now it's exploded, and it's just a big emerging program and whatnot, and so many internships and jobs that are becoming available just because the institutions are seeing the importance and the value of nutrition in this place here. And if you were to look inside this dining hall, it just shows the commitment that the university has had to this nutrition program. And if you were to look at a student athlete, from just a performance perspective, actual student perspective, and just their specific perspective, there's so many constituents that go along with it when it comes to head coaches, position coaches, assistant coaches, skill set, strength conditioning coaches, sports medicine, tutors, teachers, all that kind of stuff. They take a lot out of them. You're not saying they're the bad guys by any means at all. They're just doing their jobs, but there's a lot demanded from them. So nutrition really, puts back in them what their coaches and everyone else kind of demands out of them. So that's why it's such an important piece, and that's why having this is such a huge game changer for us, is the fact that we're able to, one, educate these kids on the hows and whys of nutrition. That's a big thing for us, is the hows and whys, that you're understanding what you're putting inside your body, and that everything has its purpose. And that really gives us, the capability of walking these kids through here and, asking them, do you have protein on your plate? Do you have good sources of carbohydrates? Are you trying new fruits and vegetables and that kind of stuff? And are you getting good sources of fat and hydrating well? So we're able to educate them and really show them, from an interactive standpoint, how to do things and how to build a plate centered around their performance goals.
As we've been talking, I'm sure you've seen some shots of the Nutrition Center. We've taken a couple of different tours here, so a lot of good video, a lot of good background on what we're doing in here. But one thing I noticed in just tooling around here, John, is everything's got every nutrition fact that you could possibly want. So if it's the vegetables here, it's the chicken there. Saw some pizza, which is great for the radio guy. I'm looking forward to that. But that's part of the education process, right? That every metric that they need to know about is right there in front of them as they go through the line.
Absolutely. So if you look at our student athlete base. We have a large number of student athletes here with, a lot of different palates, and they're from different places. And so, if you were to look at, our dining hall and what we have available, there's a lot of interactive cooking here.
Right.
There's a lot of versatility within this, kitchen. So it allows us to create a menu that's very broad for our very large student athlete base, and so that everyone's needs are met.
So with the teams, you mentioned the different coaches have different goals, and how closely do you work with the strength staff of each team? Like if, let's say, a football player is a redshirt freshman, they want him to put on 15 pounds of good weight his freshman year, right? I'm sure these are conversations you've heard your entire career. How closely do you work with the strength staff in terms of what they're doing in the workout room and then what you're bringing to them here at the Nutrition Center?
Strength coaches are my best friends.
Yeah,
they're the people that I like to have on my side. So yeah, it's just constant communication with them, and just figuring out what position they play, because every position is going to have different needs and different needs within that as well. So an offensive lineman may have different needs from a running back. You may have a running back who needs a lot more calories than an offensive lineman who has a different performance goal. So it's just having an open line of communication with not only strength coaches but sports medicine staff. Sports psychology staff is another huge thing that we have to have constant communication with, and also just position coaches and head coaches, because everyone's going to have an input on what this what those individuals are able to withstand and that kind of stuff.
Last thing before we bring out some of the food and show you what's going on here at the Nutrition Center, take us through a day in the life of a student athlete here and what's available to them in the Nutrition Center, when it opens, when it closes, all of those things for a day in the life of their time here.
So day in the life for our student athletes, if they have like 6 a.m. workouts, they go work out. Our doors are open 7 a.m. till about 9:30 for a breakfast period. 10 a.m. to 1:30 they're open for brunch, because we wanted to kind of take a lunch perspective and still kind of have some breakfast items, because it all just depends on when the student athletes wake up. So they'll come in, they'll get some breakfast, and then they come in for brunch, between classes and whatnot, and just get some good food. And then dinner from 4:30 to 8 p.m. Is our, big dinner. And we have, action stations, grill stations, so they can get a chicken breast every single day, some type of, turkey burger, hamburger, something like that, and a potato option to go with that. And we have a comfort station that has a carving station within that as well. And then an action station, so sometimes, I think last week we had buffalo chicken wing night. So that was a really popular night.
Sure.
Pizza station's open. We also have a pasta bar that's got meatballs and diced chicken breast with 3 different types of sauces to go with it, a full-blown salad bar with a lot of protein options, and a sandwich bar with a lot of protein options to go with it. So you can tell I'm a big guy when it comes to protein. It's one of my favorite things. I'm just kidding. But, that's the great thing about this place, is the versatility and all the options. And like I said, we have such a large student-athlete base that we had to develop that menu around, those different types of palates and all of those needs. And also a vegetarian bar as well. So we got, athletes who, have those dietary restrictions and whatnot, they can get an option.
And basically all over this place, wherever you are, there's different refueling stations for snacks and things like that, right? As you go along, I've seen that downstairs at the Beerman Building. I saw it down the hall on my way in. That's just kind of for the off hours when somebody might need something quick.
Right. So when the building doors are open, that facility is open. So they can come down when they're studying late at night. They can get a quick snack before and after workouts. It's what that's utilized for, so they can get something before they work out and then refuel their bodies after they work out, because that's going to be the biggest thing, is just that you're going to hear us say is that recovery component. And that's one thing we stress with them is get your recovery, because if they can recover on a consistent basis day in and day out, they can do what they're able to do on a day-to-day basis. So I like to say nutrition is kind of that longevity component. It prolongs your career, from a collegiate perspective and also from a professional perspective, and that's why nutrition's got a lot of buzz in the professional world as well.
Very cool. We're just getting going here on Ski-U-Mah Weekly. We've been talking about food for the entire show. We're actually going to bring some food in here in our next segment, as well as the man in charge of making all of it. We're going to talk to the executive chef here at the Nutrition Center when we come back.